Hello everyone, Candace Feinberg, and today I'm here with my dietitian bestie, Carla Lawrence, to chat diabetes and how you can eat yourself healthy or not. And I'm here to tap into Carla's expertise as a dietitian, and we'll also touch on a few lifestyle factors that might help you guys along. But really, the point of today's chat is really to understand how you can actually heal yourself or manage your diabetes through diet. So let's get straight into it. Carla, welcome.
Hello. Thanks for
hello,
having
hello.
me.
It's great to have you.
I feel honored.
So I think to start off with, for anyone who might be watching that doesn't quite understand diabetes and how it works in the body, can you quickly just explain to us from your perspective what that actually means?
Okay, so there are different types of diabetes. There is type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and then gestational diabetes as well.
What's gestational diabetes? Gestational diabetes.
So gestational diabetes is diabetes that people get when they're pregnant. So it's only just limited to that group of people.
Oh, wow.
And some people don't have diabetes afterwards, but some people develop type 2. There's a big risk of developing type 2 diabetes when you have gestational diabetes. So that's gestational diabetes.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And is that just triggered because of an influx of hormones? Like, what's actually going on with that?
So there's a lot of different factors that contribute to gestational diabetes. It could also be genetic. There's a lot of science around that as well. Articles and new things coming out about gestational diabetes. But we have found that obesity definitely, so falling pregnant and you already have weight gain, and then lifestyle and not looking after yourself correctly during pregnancy can also bring on gestational diabetes.
Wow, that I never knew. So that's something very interesting I learned today, an increased risk factor. Do you have to be predisposed for that to be a trigger, or is that just something that happens randomly to people?
You can be predisposed, but from what I've seen, it can happen to anyone and quite young. Like I think I've seen someone when I was at Tygerberg Hospital as young as like 24. So quite young. It all depends on what's happening. And like I said, the biggest risk factor is obesity.
Obesity.
Yeah.
Okay, so weight management plays a massive part in developing diabetes in general.
Yes.
Okay.
And lifestyle. So I think with the obesity, with the not having a healthy lifestyle, eating correctly, it just increases the risk of developing gestational diabetes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So now we've got three types to worry about. Type 1, type 2, and then gestational diabetes as well. And then there's also something called pre-diabetes. What does that mean?
It's exactly that. It's pre. It's before being diagnosed with diabetes. So it is insulin sensitivity, insulin resistance. And it's usually diagnosed by doing various tests. So testing your fasting blood glucose, HbA1c, and from that, because there are ranges of what your levels need to be, and if you are within a certain range, you are pre-diabetic. So it's just it's just above normal. So if it's just a little bit above normal, but it's not high, then you are pre-diabetic.
Isn't that just anyone though? Like I'm sitting here, I could be pre-diabetic. Like how do you?
No, it's not anyone. So because there are ranges, so if you are normal, it's going to be within a certain range. So your HbA1c, your fasting glucose is going to be within a certain range. So then you could be normal. If it is higher than normal, it's pre-diabetes, but I mean still lower than high. And then you get a high, and that's when you are diabetic.
Okay, so pre-diabetes is your warning sign.
That's your warning sign.
And you can still make changes to prevent actually becoming fully diabetic. Okay, cool. So the next step would typically be type 2 diabetes, right? I do understand that type 1 diabetes is a pancreatic issue.
Yes.
So right? So you go from pre-diabetes to type 1? No, those two don't make sense.
No.
It has to occur to type 2.
So type 1 is an autoimmune
response.
Yeah, so it's like the body fighting against the pancreas that releases insulin. So that's type 1 diabetes.
Okay.
So that basically can't be helped.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure they could pick up pre-diabetes, but pre-diabetes is more for type 2 diabetes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So just for for my own
Yeah.
peace of mind, what would be the danger zone in terms of pre-diabetes?
So we'll have to look at the HbA1c, which is a 3-month marker.
Okay.
So pre-diabetes would be, I speak under correction, I think it's about 5.2%, if I'm not mistaken. But anything higher than that would be type 2 diabetes.
Okay, cool.
So normal is about, I think 4% or less. But I don't know the numbers off by heart, but that's basically the dangers. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And that's obviously something you go to your GP for, and they will do all of those diagnostics for you in that regard. Okay, cool. So, wow. Okay, that's actually a lot of food for thought and a lot to take in. But then pre-diabetes, we spoke about now it's a lifestyle-driven condition. So you can manage it, right? So from a dietary perspective, what are some of the things that you can then do if firstly, you are pre-diabetic, but just in general that you want to avoid even pushing your insulin up?
So remember, insulin is released when we eat food and when we eat carbohydrates. So it's basically not taking in too much carbohydrates, type of carbohydrate that you take in as well, and just following a balanced diet and healthy lifestyle is all going to help you to prevent getting pre-diabetes or getting diabetes.
Yeah.
So that's basically what you need to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just eating well.
Yeah.
Eating
Generally,
well.
knowing your GIs, knowing what the GI glycemic index is of certain foods, including fiber, having your vegetables, having your protein, and your healthy fats as well, because that will also help with not increasing the blood glucose too much.
Okay. Can you just explain what blood glucose is and how that actually works and why it's so important?
Okay. So when you eat a carbohydrate, it's going to break down into glucose, so into sugar. So it's just the most simplest form of a carbohydrate or sugar in your blood. So our body uses glucose for energy. So our muscles, our brains all use glucose for energy. And it's the quickest energy compared to protein and fats. So it's going to provide us with the quickest form of energy. Okay. So that's basically what blood glucose is. It's sugar in your blood.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
And then in terms of carbs, because carbs is obviously a big thing and we all talk about carbs constantly, it gets vilified. But as far as I understand, there are actually healthy carbs that form part of a healthy diet.
Yeah.
So what's the rule for diabetes? Because even with something like a starchy carb, right? Do starches not then also break into sugar, into a simpler sugar?
Yeah.
So there's this whole debate, we went through the rice milk trend as an example.
A starch is a carb and a carb
is a starch, right? Which break into sugar.
So actually a starch is a carb, but a carb is not a starch. So your starches would be things like bread. It would be, I can only think of bread right now, but that is your starch, potatoes and those kinds of things. And your carbohydrates are more like your sugars, your fruit is a type of carbohydrate as well. So your carbohydrate has sugar and it has starch. It's quite complicated.
Gotcha.
So that's the difference between the two, but they do the same thing to the body and to the blood glucose. It's like GI, for example. It's just how quickly it's released, etc., into the blood. So that's basically what those two things are.
Okay. So you mentioned quite a few food groups there, and we don't need to overcomplicate it. This is why people go and see professionals like Carla to help take the complexity out of things when it comes to diet and like how to mix and match. But what should a typical sort of day in a diet be for someone with diabetes?
Okay. So for me, the biggest thing to keep your blood sugar level stable is eating regularly. So some people think that they mustn't eat because they have high blood sugars or that type of thing. But if you don't eat, you could potentially have low blood sugar levels. We want the blood sugar levels to be stable and we want it to be balanced. So eating regularly for me is the biggest thing.
Okay.
And then having your carbs spaced out through the day with those eating regularly meals.
Okay.
And including lots of fiber, low GI foods, your proteins, your lean proteins, your healthy fats, and having a balance, and your micronutrients as well.
Okay.
So having your vegetables, having your fruit, having your dairy is all important in maintaining a healthy, balanced diet.
Okay, lots of food options. It seems easy. Eat your fibers, eat your carbs, eat your proteins, lean proteins. So why do people find it so difficult to adjust to a new way of eating?
Okay. So they don't meal plan and they don't prepare for the next day. So then you end up buying meals, you end up eating things that you're not supposed to. So meal planning is definitely important. Also, habits. You should know this. Yeah, and people should go see Candace if you need to adjust.
This is where your habit coach comes in.
Yeah, if you need, no, but really that. So I will help and I will say, I will give the facts. I will tell them this is what's happening. We'll do diet histories. I'll give meal plans. And people will just look at the meal plan and they'll be like, oh my word, you know, like, is this doable?
Yeah.
So it's a mindset.
Yes.
People will look at having a quarter cup of muesli and they'll be like, this much muesli, like really, like it's so little. So it's definitely a mindset thing as well. And then also the mindset around eating regularly. And it looks like a lot of food, but it's spaced out through the day. So that's also one of the reasons why people don't change. And then economics, people think it's expensive to eat healthy. They don't understand that you can still have your normal foods. You can have foods that you buy at the spaza. You can have foods. It's just how to bring it in to having a healthy diet.
Okay, so there's definitely a level of understanding that you need to have when you first get diagnosed, right? And I think this is something that I've touched on previously in terms of having a wellness dream team, where you've got your doctor who diagnoses, and diabetes is a great example. Your doctor will diagnose and say, okay, you either type 1 or type 2, you need to adjust your lifestyle, and off you go, here are your pills. And then a dietitian can actually help you with then customizing what that meal plan looks for you. And your health coach is the one that helps you with the implementation and the follow through. And I think, again, touching on money, people often think that, okay, wow, how am I going to afford all that? But actually, when you think about the cost of managing chronic health in the long run, it's actually a drop in the ocean.
So I find it very fascinating when people tell me that eating healthy is expensive, because once you delve into what you are eating, I mean, look at your bank statements, look at your look at your receipts. The receipts, where's the receipts?
The receipts don't lie.
Don't lie. So look at those kinds of things. Buying yourself a cappuccino in the morning and a muffin every day. Buying a takeaway. And people buy takeaway a lot more often than what we think and what we expect. So if you look at that, so if you take how much you spend a week on takeaway, buying lunch at work, etc., and you see what the total is at the end of the week, and you could have potentially bought yourself lunch for 2 weeks. You could have fed your family. You could have bought bread and tuna and had sandwiches for a few days, you know? So it's all about like those things as well. And I'm not saying don't have takeaways. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it can be affordable.
It can be affordable with self-awareness, ownership, and planning.
Yes.
Hey?
Planning is so important because I mean, if I think of myself, for example, if I take 100 rand, I can think of what I can buy for 100 rand to feed myself for 2 days. So it's important also to work with someone that's going to be able to say to you, try this, do that. And here's where you find the discounts. I mean, some people like to buy salads at a certain...
Yes.
Yeah, let's not mention names.
The private school, the private school grocer.
Yeah, you get a lot of ready-made food.
Yes.
And even if you think about that retailer, you get different levels of what's healthy, what's not healthy. So even if you can afford to buy that every day, then ask someone to help you with choices of what to have. But eating healthy can be affordable.
So again, it sounds like you need to take some time to understand what your food labels are telling you. Look at your packaging. Don't just go into the shop blind. And it's also easier because you're planning. You start knowing what to look for and you can see where the pitfalls might be.
Yeah.
Cool.
And also working with a dietitian or with a coach that would be able to tell you how to make your meal more nutrient dense. So for example, the specific retailer would sell a salad that's a couscous salad. So look in the couscous salad, is there protein? Is there your micronutrients?
Yes.
And so your vegetables and those kinds of things. So how do you actually make that one specific thing more nutritionally dense and good for you? So adding chicken breasts or adding beans or chickpeas or whatever to the meal just to make it a little bit more nutritional.
Okay, I don't like chickpeas, so find what works for you. You don't have to force yourself to eat things that you don't enjoy. The point is to do the research. Work with a dietitian or a coach, or go on Google and just do some research. Ask questions, basically. Not for diagnosis, babes.
Ideas.
For ideas. We're all in the age of AI now. ChatGPT can help you with just for research and ideas. And then you go and test it, see what works for you, and you course correct, right? Before I close off, I want to touch on something that is a massive debate in the sort of wellness medical industry, especially in relation to diabetes. And this is about eating yourself right, healing yourself of diabetes and not relying on medication. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that, it could be, okay, so you do need to know what to eat to balance your blood sugars. You have to keep a record though of your blood sugars. Diabetes is never going to go away. It's your lifestyle that's going to change to make it manageable. So I don't know if healing is the right word, because healing has this perception that it's going to go away. So once you get diagnosed with diabetes, you're always going to have diabetes, but the blood sugar levels, the symptoms, etc., are going to be managed. Makes sense.
Got you.
So that is my thought patterns around it is, if you are diagnosed with diabetes, you're obviously going to have to see someone. You're going to have to learn to manage your blood sugar levels. You're going to have to learn what to eat, especially for type 1. Type 1 will never go away. And also with them, it's quite intense with regards to managing their blood sugar levels. So with type 1 diabetics, I work a lot. I see them quite often, regularly, because we have to walk together, and it's a process. Learn what's in your food, what are you eating, and then once again it comes back to habits, it comes back to lifestyle, exercising, all of those things, and you can manage the diabetes. So that's my thoughts around it.
So it's about management, and you can maybe reduce your reliance on medication.
Yes,
that's possible.
So look, I do know that some people are able, and it has been, I've seen it, where people can stop taking the medication. A lot of the times when that happens, then they kind of slip back and just, the levels start going up again and stuff. But I think people have this idea that once I am healed, I must just stop doing everything.
Yes.
It's like when you have the flu and you take medication, then people stop, and you need to take your medication for the full course. It's the same thing with diet. You're gonna have to continue with those lifestyle changes.
So it's a complete shift. You need to leave the old self behind
Yes.
your pre-diabetic self.
Yeah.
Leave it behind because
Yeah.
you are now diabetic,
Yeah.
and it's going to
Yeah.
require
Constant.
a shift.
Yeah. You have to, for the rest of forever, maintain your blood sugar levels, because the minute you stop, the minute you slip up, you could potentially just have hypoglycemic events again. So it's all about lifestyle. That's why I always tell people it's lifestyle, and you have to make a lifestyle shift.
You have to make a lifestyle shift, and you have to accept your new reality.
Yes,
because it's actually the difference between managing diabetes and having a full normal life versus being chronically ill.
Yes. Yes. And some people, you know, there's a myth, so many myths around diabetes as well. And some people think, you know what, I have diabetes, I am going to die, I am going to get sick, I am going to lose a foot, you know, and then they just let go.
They give up.
Yeah, but the truth is you can live a long life. You can live a healthy life. You don't need to lose toes and feet and go blind and that type of thing. It's all about just managing the blood sugars. And a lot of people take the medication to bring down the blood sugars, and it's all used so wrong as well.
Yes, people share their medications.
I can never understand that.
People share their medications. And then there's also the thing of, like, in the case of my mom, as an example, my mom is type 2 diabetic, and she is a big believer in, no, but I saw on Facebook.
Okay. Yeah.
Which puts extra pressure on your body because you're trying too many different things instead of being consistent with one thing that we know works.
Yeah. Look, I must admit, there's a lot of, I am even on social media, Facebook and Instagram and that type of thing. And somebody actually commented once on one of my posts and said, there's so much information out there. Who do we believe? Like, do we believe you? What do we believe? So look, from my perspective with regards to social media, I put it out there for educational purposes. And I do feel, though, that every individual is different. So the from a healthcare perspective, the information that I usually put out there is very generalized. So for an individual, my high blood sugar levels is not, I might have a blood sugar level of 30 and you've got maybe 10.
Yeah.
So the amount of insulin you're going to need and I'm going to need is completely different. And also how we use the insulin. Is my body insulin resistant? So now I'm using your insulin, but my body is insulin resistant.
Yeah.
So we're all different. So getting information from social media is quite scary at times. And I do think that social media is a great tool to make people aware of certain things, but please see someone. Don't
see
just
a medical professional.
It's like telling someone that avocado pear is good because it has lots of good fats, which it is, which is good. But then people have whole avocados 3 times a day, which is not good. So it's ultimately all about portion control.
Portion control, balance.
Yeah, balance. Right? And also we see a day in the life of, you know, we see certain things like that as well on social media. And you think, okay, this person's doing that. But in the meantime, it's 30 seconds of what's happening with this person. In the meantime, behind the camera, the person is eating boxes of chocolates, you know, that type of thing.
Yes.
So, yeah, also be careful with what you consume.
Yes.
And question. So there are things out there that definitely work, but question it. And I mean, with dietetics, just like medicine, it's scientifically based.
Yes.
So if there's a product out there, for example, or people are saying certain things, if it's not backed up by research, then then you might just be doing yourself a disservice. Exactly.
So I think the message out of there is to not look for quick fixes.
Yes.
Don't look for quick fixes.
Which is what we always want. All of us want that.
Girl, it didn't take you 5 minutes to develop the diabetes.
Exactly.
So,
or to gain the weight.
Or to gain the weight. So can we please just like take a step
Yeah.
back from the idea of quick
Yeah.
fixes and do the basics.
Yeah.
Do the basics consistently and listen to your body. Listen to the feedback.
Yeah.
Go back to your doctors and your dietitians and then course adjust and then go, okay, but actually this is where I'm at now, and then adjust and move from there.
Yeah.
I did hear you touching on lifestyle. I know stress, all of those things impact your blood sugar as well.
Yes.
So lifestyle management is also
Absolutely.
super important.
Absolutely.
Super important. Is there anything specific from a lifestyle perspective that people should definitely be doing?
Exercise.
Woo! Say it again, please.
Exercise.
Exercise.
Move your body.
Move your body.
Move
Is there
your
specific
body.
exercises for diabetics, or are we just talking general movement?
So there isn't really anything specific. I do know that with certain people at certain stages, they get problems with feet. Also, blood sugar levels go high and low. So it's very important, especially again in type 1 diabetes, to know what you're doing and to eat properly. So when someone sees me, I need to know, how does your day look, what you're doing, how much you're exercising. So we factor that into their food and into their meals. So
Okay.
that's very important. And then the type of exercise, so it all depends once again. So I might be diabetic and not be obese, but maybe you are. So you need to lose a certain body fat percentage, whereas with me, I need to maintain. So my exercise is going to be a little bit different than yours. I'm not the exercise expert, but just from what I know and from what I understand from exercise, from a dietitian's perspective, exercise definitely lowers blood glucose because we use energy.
Yes.
So it's definitely going to bring down your blood glucose, but then we also don't want too low.
Yes.
So you need to understand that. You need to understand, how am I going to feel when my blood sugars go too low, or what do I look for them going too high, or that type of thing. Normally during exercise, it drops. So you need to understand, especially once again in type 1. But it can happen in type 2 as well. So you need to understand, what am I looking for when I'm exercising? How do I feel? What do I drink? Etc. 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 Meals before, meals after. So yeah, strength training, weight training, which is, ladies, please pick up those weights.
Especially in your 40s.
Pick up those weights. I don't know why us ladies. I am also very much a cardio girl.
Yeah.
But I've learned to incorporate weight training.
Yeah.
Because it definitely helps with our bone density and all of those things. But also, your muscles use glucose.
Yes.
So that's also going to decrease the blood glucose, and it happens. I think it decreases your blood sugar levels for 24 hours after you've done weight training. I know. So weight trained yesterday, and today you're passively sitting and you still, and your body's still using. Yeah.
And it's still using. That's incredible.
Yeah,
so the
that's
benefits are amazing.
And
weight training doesn't mean you have to go and like do heavy workouts in the gym. Carrying a grocery bag,
absolutely,
it counts as weights. So carry the grocery bags instead of packing it all into a trolley and pushing the cart. Rather carry the thing. Yesterday I was walking and I lifted my bag up and down while I was walking. Very light grocery bag. I didn't want to strain myself, but still, just while I was walking, I was like, actually,
and you
this
were
bag
burning
is quite,
energy.
and I burnt energy. So top
So
tip.
even using like tins in your house or whatever, you don't have to have dumbbells or heavy weights. Resistance bands are also quite good. So yeah, just incorporating it into your exercise routine. But we know cardio is good for burning fat as well.
Cardio is good for burning fat. Yes.
And we obviously also want to look at the abdominal area, because this is I see this a lot.
Danger. That's where the danger lies.
The abdominal, the visceral fat, and all of those things.
Because that also then speaks to possible issues with your heart health, etc., etc. So you definitely want to avoid abdominal fat.
Yeah. So when you are exercising, you actually need to look into. So when I do an in-body scan, for example, I can see what your visceral fat is. I can see what your muscle mass is, your body fat mass. And then from there, you can also see, okay, so when I exercise, this is where I need to focus on. This is what I need to do. So with the diet and that, you know how to incorporate your exercise.
Carla, you, I think, have just made people go poof. If there was one single piece of advice you could give to someone who is either pre-diabetic or recently diagnosed, what would that piece of advice be from a dietary perspective?
Oh, only one.
Okay, fine. Give me your top three.
Okay, now
Top three tips.
Let's do one. So definitely look at your lifestyle.
Okay.
Are you sedentary? Are you exercising? What does your lifestyle look like? Are you smoking a lot? Are you drinking? Are you all those things? So take stock of that. And then know your numbers. So like I said earlier, you can do an in-body, you can stand on a scale, you can go to a doctor, check your HbA1cs, check your blood. If you're feeling different, ladies, when you hit 40, you can tell
Lots
on
of
your body. Yeah. So know your numbers. And then with regards to food, balance, portion control. Balance / portion control. Very, very important. So when people look at me, some of my friends, they look at me and they'll be like portion with portion, because I'm always talking. I'll go to a family function and my aunts would be dishing up next to me and they'll go, oh, portion with portion. So I'm very much about balancing and portion control. Eating regularly is also a big thing for me, but balance and portion control in general is just very important. So when I say balance, I don't mean take your plate and see if you can balance it. That's not what I mean. I mean that we look at the layout of your plate, and a lot of times you'll see on social media, lots of dietitians talk about the plate model. Very important if you want like just a quick general, you're out somewhere, you're not gonna measure or weigh or whatever. Half of your plate non-starchy veg.
Non-starchy veg.
Non-starchy veg.
Non-starchy veg.
That's another topic for another day.
So we talk about greens.
We talk about your onions, your mushrooms, your
tomatoes, etc.
Salads. It's summer. We can do lots of salads now. So yeah, have that, half of your plate, and then a quarter protein and a quarter carbohydrate.
Carla, don't touch me on my summer braai.
You can still do it at your braai. You can still do it at your braai. I think I need to do a reel on like how to.
Yes, please, because the summer festive is loading.
So look at a braai. It's very, especially in our culture.
Yes.
Because it is potato salad and
it's braai broodjies, it's noodle salad.
Noodle salad, braai broodjies, all of those things. So people also always ask me about that. So for me, I will normally choose what I want. So I will either have a potato salad or I'll have a noodle salad.
Yeah, you don't have to have everything.
You don't have to have everything. Or you can have a little bit of both, or you can have a half a braai broodjie with it. Or
as long as it equates to that quarter.
That quarter. and then the famous question is, how big must the plate be? Like literally people ask me that. And I'm like, listen, whether you have this bigger plate, whether you have that bigger plate, just follow the plate model.
Okay.
Smaller plate, preferably, but
because then you don't have to think so hard.
Exactly.
A smaller plate takes all the maths out of the situation, and you know whatever's on your plate. And then I had that one auntie, may she rest in peace, died of diabetes, who used to stack her small plate.
Yeah.
So people, please choose your struggle.
Exactly.
Choose your struggle.
And then the other thing with that is, with the plate model, is what I always tell my clients, because they will always ask me about eating out or going to a buffet or that type of thing. And I'm like, and even at home, just in general, dish your vegetables and your salads and non-starchy veg first. So first do that half, and then you do the quarter. Because then you will see that you are actually going to do it properly. So if you do the starch first, you're going to dish a lot more starch. You're going to do half starch and then a quarter. So do that.
So start with the good bits first. Start with the good bits. And I promise you, people, you'll be surprised at how full you actually get and stay.
Yeah, from your vegetables. And if you want more, if you want to have more, then have more vegetables and have more non-starchy vegetables.
Yes. Because ons gaan mos nou agter die smaak aan, man.
Listen, I must talk, especially braai. It's very difficult at the braai because the other thing is, you see now I'm giving more things now. The other thing is to eat before as well. Eat before going to a function, making sure you are not starving.
Yes.
So that also helps with portion control.
Because then you're not just reactive. and you're actually maintaining decorum.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're just making right
Yeah.
choices, because when you're stressed, you stop making good choices.
Yes.
We know that
and
for
when
a
you're
fact.
starving, when you're hungry, you're like, yeah. And then you want all those nice things and you want to stack, and
Yes.
it smells nice and you're hungry and you're going to eat it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carla, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
This has been a very informative discussion. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
People, you heard it here first. Balance your plate, portion control, and move your body. Move your body. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye.